Getting a project off the ground. This is our broad topic.
Oh, it wasn't art?
No.
Oh.
That was our clickbait. That's our... I'm basically doing two broad topics these days. Getting a project off the ground. I wanted to talk about that part of it because yesterday I was talking to John, who appeared on episode 3 or episode 2. The one with crazy heroin stories.
That was 3, I believe.
Okay. And he told me that his band, Comanche Bastard, broke up.
Aw.
That sucks.
Bummer.
Well, does it? Does it suck?
Oh, like a terrible marriage. Like, thank God it's over.
You know,
I
it
don't know.
slows everything down
It
from
does.
a production standpoint.
Yeah.
Because John really wants to make a record. John's ready to make a record.
Yeah.
John's got something to say. But now John's got to start over, getting a project off the ground.
But if you got people who aren't really committed, I guess it's easier to kill it and start again.
That's
Yeah.
very true. Like, if I wanted to start over with the Jazz Destroyers, it would be a great big problem.
Right.
I love my guys. My guys are the best. I think the world of them. And they put up with me when I lay eggs at the gig. Sorry about that. So, I really screwed something up. I really caused a train wreck on one of them. So I need to practice more. But getting a project off the ground, I see it so often as this I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to start a band. I'm going to write the songs for the band, and we're going to be awesome, and we're going to take over the world. And I go, right on. And then it's, well, I can't find a bass player for my band. It's like, well, then keep looking. Right? Like, getting that initial push, getting it off the ground is the hardest thing in the world. It's the tyranny of the blank page. It's that very beginning that is always the hardest. We started this channel with 0 subscribers, right? We're up to 79 right now. Please subscribe. And when we started the channel, I had already had the Jazz Destroyers, which is doing well. It could have been very easy for me to make the Get Off My Lawn Records podcast just a weekly upload on the Jazz Destroyers channel. But I didn't want to do that to my audience because they came for the music. And I want them to come here for the talking. So we built, so getting the project together, what I always say is in the first stages of a project, you have no money. Unless you have money. If you have money, then getting a project off the ground is a breeze.
I wouldn't say it's a breeze, but it's a lot easier.
You can hire your way into it. Trust me.
Money solves problems.
Money solves problems. Oh, you need a good drummer? Yeah. If you throw $100 in the air, you'll get a good drummer come out. You'll get good drummers coming out of the
I mean, the
woodwork.
KLF wrote a whole manual on that.
Right. So when you have no money, though, you don't get to be selective. You only get to work with the people who are willing to work with you. And with that comes a whole lot of baggage and a whole lot of problems and a whole lot of headaches. Then once you get the project off the ground and it actually starts doing something, then people come out of the woodwork wanting to play with you. People really want to glom on to success, but they don't want to invest into an unproven commodity. And so in those early stages, that's when you really find out who's going to be loyal. The problem, though, is that with the issues that come along, sometimes it can become a hindrance of progress, right? So you got a drummer who won't play quietly for the gigs that need to play quietly. That's a problem. So then you have to part ways, and then you feel like the jerk because then you got to bring in somebody who really is just excited to be there to make the money. But you hope that you've built the project and you do good work and you find somebody who's also excited about the music. But yeah, if there's a little bit of money, it's a lot easier to get things started. But you don't ever start with a little bit of money, so you just got to literally pool whatever resources you can come together with. If all you got are, two ukulele players and a harmonica, guess what kind of music you're making? You're making ukulele music with harmonica, there's no reason to over-envision things. Just get the group going work with what you have. and take
Well,
it
you
from
can't
there.
wait for it to be perfect because you just have to start. Like if you wait for it to be perfect, you'll never start at all. So you have to start with what you have and then just improve things as you go.
Right. That's the point I guess I'm trying to get. Thank you for putting it that way. And like with Cody, you're working on that duo album, and yeah, it's brutal getting it started.
And I'm changing styles a bit, and
All sorts of things.
yeah, lots of
All sorts of
small setbacks here and there, but nothing that's so great that I have to say I'm not doing this anymore.
right. Well, and I just have to. Because I see so many bands start and break up.
Yeah,
Like Full Fathom had broken up by the time we had released all of the videos with them in it for Freeform Fridays. And
But didn't they break up because somebody moved?
yeah, Ryan moved back to Arizona.
Mm.
But the point is, at this point I'm basically skeptical of startups, of startup
bands
projects.
specifically?
Yeah,
Or, okay.
because it's just so hard. With Cody's kind of an exception because Cody and Q know each other forever.
yeah,
And they're good friends, and I'm not worried about that, right?
yeah,
What I'm worried about is a band I don't know at all anything about. They've been playing for 3 months. Even if they're great, it's like, well, show me a little bit of longevity. Show me a little bit of longevity. Show me you guys can do this for 6 months. Because ultimately, like, the whole point of this is to gig. The record sales, I would love for the record sales to replace everybody's income, but realistically, it's the whole point of making a record with Get Off My Lawn Records is supplemental, not primary. That's why I try to keep the projects limited in scope so that I'm not asking for people to take 6 weeks of their life off.
Well, and a good way to do advertising when you're just starting out is to get out there and be in front of people, which gigs is a good way to do that.
And I will tell you this, of those 79, thank you, Donald Trump.
Sorry.
You didn't take you should have
I
taken
did.
a thing. Oh. So the almost every subscriber right now of our 79, I've personally asked to subscribe. So if you're watching this, the chances are very high that I said, hey, you've got your phone out. I do it because I just have to constantly do it. Playing gigs is actually kind of a tough way to get subscribers, but it's a great way to sell records. So part of the Get Off My Lawn Records contract says not only do you take your records to the shows, but you take 2 copies of everybody else on the label. So then you've got you basically have, a very mini store. So it's, hey, you like our music, you'll also like this stuff. If you like our music plus jazz, try this. If you like our music plus electronic, try this. If you like our music plus punk rock, trust this. That's the idea. And that's the kind of the model we're building this on, is a very collaborative communal experience because, well, I just start calling people comrade out of nowhere. So getting a project out, it's super hard to do.
Well, I mean, I think a large part of the problem is, and not even just for music, but is scope, is defining the scope of your project, and to use programming terms, feature creep.
Yep.
The longer you go, the more you're like, I can add this, I can add this, I can add this other thing, and you can't do that indefinitely.
Right. Eventually you have to release it.
Yeah. I've got a buddy who has re-recorded an album, I think 4 complete times because he was unsatisfied with what he had.
This isn't an uncommon story.
Yeah.
Keep going.
I mean, the final product that I've heard, it was great, and I've heard most of the interim process, and it was still great, but he was unsatisfied with it. But that's
Perfectionism is the killer.
yeah. I mean,
That's why that's why when we do our records, it's very much like, all right,
yeah.
we're gonna cut this in a weekend.
I mean, I think
You
of
got a time limit.
when I'm doing
Sorry, go ahead.
when I'm doing music, I think of it as like doing a sketch. Like I work on the music until it's at a point where I'm satisfied with it, and then it's done. And satisfied with it isn't it's perfected. It's in a state where I think it's a complete song, but it might need a lot more polish, but I don't care anymore because I want to move on to the next thing.
Yeah, there's a balance. I mean, there's
Yeah.
a balancing act. There's always going to be some additional tweaks. But the nice thing with like working with the label is then you're not relying on yourself to master it
Yeah.
or even potentially mix it. Like I'll mix this stuff for everybody if they need it, if they
Yeah.
need me to. With you, I'm just giving you creative freedom.
Yeah.
But usually it's come in, play. I know everybody's got gigs. We're all busy, so you come in,
Yeah.
play. I'll handle the technical side of it.
But like I'm also working on a solo project that's a concept album that I've never done one of those before. The Duo is also a concept album, and it's really difficult getting started because the scope is so large, and it's daunting, and I don't want to get started and then have to record things that or rewrite or anything like that. And I don't know.
Yeah, I've never done a concept album. That's a level of opulence that I don't get to enjoy. A concept album is like one of those things you do when you can lock yourself into a studio for 3 months and not work. And not go to your day job, right? Like I guess I'm a little more pragmatic. It's why there's some really great prog rock albums out there, but those guys really spent an inordinate amount of resources to make those.
Yeah.
Dark Side of the Moon was not recorded over a weekend. It was recorded over like 6 months. They had toured the material prior to that. They were testing it in front of audiences.
Yeah.
It evolves, but I will say this about concept albums: it's like you'll get some cute turns of phrases. You'll kind of half write about half of the album, and then the rest of it will kind of fall into place.
Yeah.
We should talk to Alan Parsons. He knows all about concept albums.
But I think of it more of just a general art project problem.
Yeah.
Like if you're making a video game, if you are doing a art show, if you are writing a book,
Right.
it's all the same sort of problem. It's defining scope, defining what your what is the term, minimum viable product.
I call it sufficient. I use the word sufficient a lot, right? Like
Yeah.
just get things to sufficient.
Hashtag that'll work.
Hashtag that'll work. The reason I brought this up though was my real advice on getting a project off the ground is simply break it up into its individual pieces. We live in a world where now 2 people are making albums where it used to take whole teams of people to make an album. You used to have 3-4 engineers on an album, and now it's usually the producer who's also writing the music, who's also doing this and that and the other thing. But if you remember each and every individual role from the historical perspective of it, of how records were made in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, then you can say, okay, right now I'm mixing. All right now I'm mastering. Right now I'm writing. Right now I'm performing. Right now I'm editing. All of these little individual parts, you know.
I have a really bad habit of mixing synthesis and writing at
Yep.
the same point. But
Yeah. And thank you for admitting it's a bad habit.
yeah.
Because I remember when I saw Thomas Dolby in college, he came to the school and did a talk. And the thing I remember sticking out most was he said, I'm more of a orchestrator than a songwriter. And I went, yep.
I love Thomas Dolby.
I love him too, but
The Flat Earth is one of my favorite albums.
But it's not, there's a reason it's not as big as it could be. You know what I mean? There's a reason She Blinded Me with Science went so big, because it was obnoxiously catchy.
Yeah.
And it was a song.
Hyperactive.
I guess. But, you know, he, like you said, he doesn't really write songs that he can just sit down to a piano and play.
Yeah. I watched him playing, a video of him playing live, Hyperactive.
Is he still using all those, like, big
No.
machines that he modified into MIDI
No,
devices?
he's using, like, Logic or something.
Yeah, he was using Logic, but he would, like, buy old radio equipment and replace the guts and turn them into MIDI
Oh, that's
controllers.
amazing.
Yeah. He,
Oh, I missed a shout-out. Kate Bush's new album's coming out, the live album.
Nice.
Speaking of Thomas Dolby, sorry.
Yeah. That'll be fun.
I'm excited.
But George is probably the most recent in this, because George has gotten a project off the ground here recently. So you do your juggling thing.
I do my juggling thing.
You do a daily upload?
As many as I can, yeah.
Daily. Gotta
Every
do
day.
daily.
Every day. getting out. Just trying to post new ideas I've been working on, things I'm practicing, exploring juggling, and all of the different patterns that you can do with that.
How many can you juggle now?
I could do 6.
6.
Yeah.
So now we got to figure out how to incorporate your foot.
There are people that do that. That is above
Foot
my
stalls.
head. Yes.
You can work on foot stalls.
Land it on your foot. And
Land it on
like
your foot and
kick
then
it
pop it back up.
The hacky sack sort of thing.
Yep.
Please don't kick my mic.
People do
I
it.
do what I
off,
want.
You gonna stand up and knock all the mics
I
over?
already threatened to. I should.
You could.
Please don't. Yeah.
Godzilla just
So
walk through
so
the
how long
city.
have you been doing this now?
The daily videos. I've
Yeah.
done 10 days.
10 days.
10 days of it. Yeah.
Now so you're still flying high.
So far, yeah.
What's your metrics look like? Are they growing? Are they flat?
They were really high at the beginning, like you would expect,
Okay.
and then they fell off. But it's going back up again.
It's going back up as people
steadily
find it.
and slowly. Yeah.
Yeah, let's help you. So you have permission to use anything you want on It's a Secret to Nobody.
Okay.
Just go snag it off of Bandcamp.
Put music in the background.
Yeah,
All right.
that'll help. And don't mute yourself. Just blend it in.
Yeah. So you can still hear it. Yep.
Yeah. And that might help. And then also we'll share it. We'll pass it around as well.
Okay.
So please share our stuff. We'll share your stuff. That's kind of how this whole thing works. Is let's all just help each other.
I shared your
audiences.
video with Shia LaBeouf earlier.
I appreciate that. I really
Yeah.
do. Actual Cannibal, Shia LaBeouf. Wow. It's a great video though.
As long as he only eats himself. I'm cool with it.
Surprisingly good rapper.
Yeah.
And I found that out after he did that. Otherwise, I've been like, dude, come rap. Well, but no.
I missed my shout out earlier. There's this guy named George Watsky that released his album To the Moon, and he does spoken word, slam poetry, that kind of thing.
Very cool.
And he's known for being really like pop reference, like lots of pop references, lots of current news, that kind of thing.
Gotcha.
And he can rap real fast.
I was going with, this sounds like nerdcore, but then current news, no longer nerdcore. So, cool. So that's getting a project off the ground. That's our thoughts. Do you have any thoughts on getting a project off the ground?
Try not to annoy the people around you while you're getting a project off the ground.
It's unavoidable.
It's totally avoidable, but
Unavoidable.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, it's unavoidable because you're not that considerate.
I love you too, dear. All right, what's next?